Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the web class. My name is Benji. We are Breakthrough Academy, and this is the Contractor Growth Method, the 6 core systems of rapid growth contractors. We have a lot to get through today. I'm going to move at a pretty good clip here, but a little bit of context at the beginning, I think, will go a long way for helping you understand where this session came from and really what it's about. So we here at Breakthrough Academy, we systemize contracting businesses for growth. Over the last number of years, we've had over 1,200 contractors from all over North America come through our program, implement systems, hire better teams, grow their companies, work less, make more, all that good stuff. And over the course of doing that, so many reps, right? So many different businesses and different markets, we've learned that there's a method to scaling a blue collar business like yours. There's a recipe to this. And in this session, we want to kind of share with you what we've learned. We want to share with you these 6 core systems, how they come together, how they facilitate growth, how they make your business less stressful, and how they ultimately make you more money. So that's what we're going to go through. We've got a lot to cover, like I said. Let's get cracking. So when we do sessions like this, we love to give tons of free stuff away. There are a number of tools, downloadable resources, things I'm actually going to leave PowerPoint and show you that are yours for free. It's our way of saying thanks for being here. It's like a little goodie bag when you leave a birthday party. So if you want that, you will fill out a form at the end. You can also book a call with us, by the way, if you want to learn more about how Breakthrough Academy can help you. If this is kind of sounding like it could be a fit, we would love to get on a discovery call and have that conversation. So stay tuned till the end for that, and let's dive in. We work with some cool companies, but we're very niched, and it's worth mentioning this at the beginning. We are specialists. We're not generalists. We only work with contracting businesses. So if you run a business in construction, roofing, landscaping, painting, specialized trades, or you run a home service business, you're absolutely in the right place. If, however, you own a restaurant or a law firm or a daycare, or you want to start a dog walking business or open an ice cream truck, that's great. We love that for you. Probably should go find another web class because this won't make much sense. This is really only for these industries. I'm curious to hear from you all. So please let me know in the chat, what is on your mind the most heading into next quarter? Take a second, type out a couple sentences, hit enter, let us know in the chat. We will circle back to those in a minute. At Breakthrough Academy, we're on a very simple mission. I alluded to this earlier, but a quick rehash. We want to transform honest, hardworking contractors into well-balanced leaders and thriving entrepreneurs. And that is quite literally all we do. So if you're on this webinar, you likely have already realized that what got you here won't get you there, right? Like, to get to the next stage is going to take new systems, new thinking, and all the blood, sweat, and tears and work that went into getting you here has kind of run its course, and it's time to evolve. You probably see huge potential for your business in the market that you serve. Like, it feels like you're just sitting on a gold mine. You want to tap into it more. Your business needs systems and people, probably both in equal quantities. You might be wearing too many hats and want to take a few off. You want to grow your business, install a leadership team around you. Maybe you want to expand geographically in the town over, or the state over, or the next country over. You may want to build a business of value and sell it one day. And you've probably also outgrown like startup mode, where it's all just, you and a helper, and it's tons of stress and long days. Like, I'm not saying it's no work, but you probably are out of that super messy early stage startup mode. And lastly, you probably think more like an entrepreneur than you do a tradesperson. So if that sounds like you, and those are some of the outcomes that you want, guess what? All paths lead to the contractor growth method. This is the only business system purpose-built for blue-collar businesses, and it's made up of 6 parts. Financial controls, so you can make data-driven decisions and not be a financial freewheeler and understand what's going on inside your business effectively. Defined roles, so that everyone knows what they're supposed to do, and that's communicated effectively. Hiring systems, because you can't build the business of your dream with B-grade players, as you well know. Training and onboarding, so that when you have new people come to the team, they're onboarded effectively. There's a standardized way in which tasks get carried out, and you're able to train them on that quite quickly. Optimized sales and marketing so that you're not the only person selling and it's this huge part of your day. We want to remove you from being the chief salesperson so that you can CEO your company effectively. And lastly, goal setting and execution so that you have a really clear 5-year plan that's broken down into annual goals, that's broken down into quarterly milestones, and you execute with your team effectively week in, week out. So those are the 6 ingredients that make up the contractor growth method. We're going to go through all 6. Now, I mentioned this a second ago, but this is really good context. We see this in sort of 2 stages. Okay, think of these 2 levels. You've got the grassroots level entrepreneur and you have the enterprise level entrepreneur. The grassroots level is what I alluded to a second ago. It's all hustle. It's long days. It's solving problems on the fly. There's a ton of ideas. There's lots of change. Your business is very nimble because it's still small and flexible, and it's fun, but it's also pretty stressful, and it doesn't really feel that sustainable if you're being real with yourself. Then there's like this enterprise level where things are more established. There's controlled effort. Results are stable and predictable. You, the owner, are out of the day-to-day operations and focused on implementing systems, focused on strategy, focused on recruiting the best people. You've got financial controls in place. You have SOPs in place. And maybe it's not as exciting. It's not quite the roller coaster ride, but this is way more sustainable. And I suspect that a lot of you are somewhere in this growth zone, somewhere in between, right? You're working your way through it. This is where Breakthrough Academy lives. Like this is exactly what we do every single day, is help business owners like you get through the growth zone a little bit faster. And we do that using the contractor growth method. Here are a couple great examples. Anthony Langdon of Asset Roofing. They're based in Seattle. Before BTA's business was small, under $400,000 a year. After BTA, about 4 years later, you can see the numbers for yourself. Business grew to $9 million. He held gross profit through that growth, right around 45%. His net profit remained the same. He grew his staff from 4 to 34 people, and he's cut in half the hours of work that he does every week. Cooper and Janelle are another great case study. Again, pre-BTA, business is pretty sizable already. They're doing under $5 million a year, $4.6 million a year, but they had no idea where their profit centers were. They weren't making very much money. They had about 25 people on the team. Now, post-BTA, they're north of $10 million. They have a 33% gross profit margin, a 10% net profit margin. Their total staff count has more than doubled, and they also have nearly halved the hours worked per week. So, let's dive into each of these 6 parts. We'll start with financial controls. Here's a simple fact. Most contractors, based on our research, we think about 75% of contractors, your competition, are operating without an annual budget. I'm not talking about advanced cash flow forecasting or anything super sophisticated. I'm just talking about a basic annual budget. Fully 3/4 of your competition don't have one. And so I think it's safe to say in this industry, there is a bit of a gap when it comes to knowing one's numbers. Which is why the first thing that we do when we start working with a member is we install a company dashboard. We call ours the MVP file. That stands for Master Business Plan. I'm going to show you what it looks like here quickly on screen. So you can see there's a budgeting tab here where we take last year's numbers, we break them down based on our custom chart of accounts. We can see our revenue produced. We can see our variable expenses. We can see our gross profit margin. We can itemize all of our fixed expenses, and we can see at the end of the year what we made in net. And we use that historical data to inform the plan for next year. So we take those numbers, we roll them into a plan for the next season, and we set realistic goals based on historical data. Then we track our actual numbers against the budget so that month in, month out, we can see exactly how we're doing against the plan that we set. To do that tracking effectively, we've got a job costing system where we can see project by project profitability. We've got an overhead tracker, which shows us our fixed expenses month by month. And we have a sales plan, production plan, and all that stuff culminates in a bit of a KPI dashboard that shows us at a glance how our business is doing. Now, this is a really important point, this distinction or this comparison of goals versus actuals. A lot of people, when they learn about the MVP file, they'll kind of say things like, well, I have QuickBooks, I have an accountant. Do I really need this? What those tools, or the other thing they'll say is, hey, I have a CRM already. Do I need this? So my comments on that are, having some good bookkeeping and accounting systems and people in place is effective, but it really is like driving your car through the rear view mirror. You're not really looking forward to see where you ought to be and comparing that with where you are. So it's difficult to make decisions in that way. CRMs are kind of similar. They're great for marketing, great for customer communication. Some of them even have some project management capabilities baked into them, but they're not great for steering the overall ship that is your business. So the reason we have this MVP file, and by the way, you can download this and play around with it yourself. We want to make better data-driven decisions. We want to constantly compare goals versus actuals. We eventually want to begin attaching KPIs to certain roles. I'll get to that in a second. And it provides the foundation for multi-year forecasting. Chanel and Curtis are a great example, right? I'll just read their quote. We look up our numbers 5 to 6 times a week to see if we're ahead or behind. It allows us to redirect our effort long before we end up in the shit. Seeing things before they happen is a huge part of our revenue and profit growth. I think that's a very relatable sentiment. Wouldn't it be nice to avoid the icebergs, right, before you crash into them? And that's what the MVP file does. That's what better financial controls do. Let's move on. Defined roles. Okay, here's what generally happens over the course of a business growing. You do great work. You treat your customers well. Word gets out. You get more phone calls. So you hire some more people. You do some more good work. You get more phone calls. You hire some more people. But pretty quickly, you get into this situation where your team is falling over one another, right? Balls are getting dropped in one corner, but then there's also like the duplication of tasks in another corner. And what's happening is no one has slowed down to answer a very simple question. Who does what inside this organization, and how does that get communicated effectively? So defined roles, it's fundamentally about 3 things. It's about designing an org chart with the right key performance indicators for every role, and those drive the desired results from the MVP file that we just looked at. We define those roles with deliverables and accountabilities through written employment agreements, not just handshakes, not just kind of conversations on the tailgate, an actual formal document that articulates what good looks like in someone's role. And then we hold tension to those commitments using something called GSR meetings, or goal setting and review meetings. When it comes to developing an org chart, the mistake a lot of people make is they think of this in terms of tasks. Okay, Sheila manages the inboxes and answers the phones. Tim does some project management, but also some sales. Roger, he's more of a crew lead, and so he spends time in the trucks and on sites. And you can see when you think of it this way, it's not necessarily wrong, but it's pretty easy for things to get messy quickly. So the way that we do it is we think in terms of deliverables. What is the result that each individual on the team needs to deliver in order to create a return on investment? Like, why is it worth paying this person their salary? Well, because they deliver these results to us in return. So that's how we frame all of our thinking. And when you do that, everything gets a lot cleaner, a lot easier. When you go to build that employment agreement, the first thing we articulate are deliverables. And then from there, we'll go through the accountabilities or the tasks, the compensation structure, the reporting structure, the expectations around time off and uniforms and vehicle use, etc. So this is another great tool that will be available in the downloads. There's a really nice fill in the blanks employment agreement tool that I promise you is better and more suited to your business than whatever you're trying to get off of ChatGPT and it's certainly better than starting from a blank Word document. Now, that's great. We have an employment agreement, but if we think that just because we drop some cute little agreement that all of our people are now going to, deliver without fail, it's like, give your head a shake. We know that we need to hold tension. We need to manage performance over time. And so GSR Goal setting and review is a management tool that allows us to do that. It helps us keep a pulse on what's happening in our businesses and on individual projects. We can hold accountability through it. We can provide direction and support to the people on our team who need it. We can manage performance, and these happen on a fixed recurring schedule, even when we're busy. To do GSR meetings effectively, this will also be in the downloads. We use a dashboard. We use a goal setting and review dashboard. This is something that gets filled out. It's prepped by the person that you are working with. So your key reports, you generally wouldn't do this with every single person in your organization because that would be a lot of meetings, but you do it with the people who report to you and they do it with the people who report to them. And this is how we add structure and clarity down the organizational chart and make sure that everything from the CEO to the new laborer on site are aligned in terms of what they're working on. So this dashboard usually gets filled out on a Friday. You do your structured GSR meeting on a Monday. You report in on metrics and numbers, you problem solve issues, you build a schedule together, and they have marching orders for the week ahead. What you'll notice when you start to dial in your organizational structure, when you start to define roles effectively, is you will eradicate dropped balls, confusion, and finger pointing. You will provide team members with results to focus on for once, not just doing what they think is best that day. You will standardize roles, which makes replacing people easier. That's a huge point right there, right? If you have someone leave, which happens all the time, you now know who you need to replace that position and what you should go hire for, which we'll talk about it in a second. It also develops the foundation for performance-based pay. So when you have structured deliverables and goals for everyone, now you can start to think about what a bonus might be worth or what commission we might give them or how we might incentivize them to do more because we're clear on what everyone needs to do. So that's defined roles in a nutshell. Now, let me know in the chat box if you have noticed that hiring has gotten harder over the last decade. We would agree. It is harder to hire the talent that you need to grow your business for a whole bunch of reasons. We have an aging workforce. The silver tsunami with baby boomers retiring is a thing. We have younger generations which are smaller and less interested in blue collar work. I do think that's changing, but that is something that we're up against. We've got macroeconomic factors. We've got immigration factors. We've got generational issues. There's a whole bunch of stuff that does make hiring more difficult. But guess what? No one cares, and you still have a human-driven business to run. So the question is, do you want to sit around and externalize blame and say it's millennials' faults or it's the government's fault, or do you want to fix the problem? Because there is a solution, okay? That's the good news. You already know what a marketing and sales funnel looks like for your business. And a recruiting and hiring funnel, a recruiting and hiring system is no different, right? It's the same sequence of steps. For marketing and sales, we start with an ideal client profile. We make advertisements that appeal, that generates leads. We do setup calls. We go and estimate. We get the job awarded and we onboard the new customer. With hiring, it's the same thing, right? We know who we want to hire based on the defined roles that we just talked about. We build job postings that appeal to people who fit those demographics and psychographics. We generate applicants. We call those applicants. We do interviews. We select the right ones and we onboard the new employee. So listen, the good news is you already know how to do this. You're just not putting enough enthusiasm, effort, or dollars into this side of your business. And when you structure it like a funnel, it's quite easy. It's like dollars in, effort in, high quality talent out. Right? So to help you get started on this, there's a really great quick tool at the end called the Ideal Candidate Profile and Job Posting Quick Tool that's going to help you build a really great ideal candidate profile, which is the starting point of any hiring process. And then you can turn that into a really like a high conversion job posting, one that people actually click on and apply to. So you're not sitting there after a week with nothing. You actually have an inbox full of resumes, some of whom you're really excited to talk to. So that would be a great place to start if you're feeling kind of lost with hiring systems. And Kim Larson's a great case study of this. Learning how to hire people properly was the most pivotal system for her. It allowed her to go from $1 million a year to $1 million a month over the span of 3 years. Get cracking on the hiring front, people. Okay, part number 4 of the contractor growth method we call training and onboarding. Now, a lot of people find building standard operating procedures, SOPs, difficult. They don't want to do it. They say their business is too unique. Everything is too one-off. There's no way I could do this because everything is so custom every time. Now, this is a limiting belief. There is more that is standardizable in your business than you think. And creating systems like SOPs, like training checklists is the foundation of a good training and onboarding program. Now, a lot of people, again, like I said, they have pushback. They go, is it really worth it, right? In my opinion, 5 things are damn near impossible without SOPs. 1, consistency in product or service. 2, developing talent because you have no criteria to grade them against. 3, scalability and profitability because every crew is doing something their own unique way. That doesn't work. 4, you can't really attract and retain the rockstar employees you want because A, this is the thing that rockstar employees look for. They want to see structure. They want to see process. They want to see training systems. And B, even if you somehow got lucky and found one without them, they're not going to stay very long because your business is going to be chaotic. So it'll be a revolving door of staff. And then the last thing that I don't think people think about enough is building value into your company. If you want to exit your business and sell it for a bunch of money one day, the first thing a buyer is going to look for is documentation. So the question is, why do 90% of these live inside the minds of the owner? And see that the answer to that is pretty simple. It's because they're hard. They're hard to make and they take time. So we want to make it a little faster. We're going to give you a training checklist template that's like literally fill in the blanks. This is something that you can customize for every role, print out. You can even laminate this so you can use a dry erase on it for training sessions, but it's very helpful to have some criteria that you're grading a new employee against where you can say, yes, you are proficient in this area and you need to work on this area. This is a really great place to start with your training and onboarding systems. Now, part 5 of the contractor growth method we call optimized sales and marketing. Most business owners, let me know in the chat box if this is you too, they are their company's biggest salesperson. They are the rainmaker for their own business. This is a problem if you want to scale. Because first of all, there's a very real ceiling on how much one person can sell. And secondly, you have a much more important job to do. Your business needs a CEO. And so if you are the man or woman wearing a million hats and you're the part-time sales guy and part-time project manager and part-time a million other things, it doesn't leave a whole lot of time or bandwidth for strategy, for decision-making, for tracking numbers, for the really important stuff. So we've got to get you out of being the full-time salesperson. So to do that, there's 2 tools. There's actually a lot more than 2 tools in the contractor growth method. But in this web class, we're going to give away 2. One is a nice sales forecast that helps you break down your annual sales goals into basically how many leads, how many estimates, how many estimates do you need to convert, and how many jobs do you need to land per week, per month, throughout the year based on seasonality. And when you have that really clarified, you can now start to track your actual results against it. There's that idea again. So you have clear revenue goals. You know your average job size. You know roughly your success ratio, and maybe it's around 40%. You build a sales forecast and you track against it. The other thing that we like to do is build a multi-step consultative sales process. There is one that is built for you that you can, again, tweak and customize to your own, but it takes every step from lead acquired to job landed and deposit given. If you want to go deeper on sales content, you should check out our podcast, Contractor Evolution. There's so much valuable information there. There's a ton of episodes on sales specifically. Episode 23, episode 12, episode 27 would be great places to start, but there's a ton more. Go check out the feed and see what appeals to you. Okay. Part 6 of the contractor growth method is goal setting and execution. Time is the great equalizer, meaning we all have differences between us. Okay, we have different strengths and weaknesses. We have different amounts of money in our pockets when we start our business. We have different experience levels. We're operating in different markets. The one thing we all have 100% in common is 168 hours every week to work with. High performers know this and they manage their time religiously. And you can see this in business, in entertainment, in sports, in politics, in anything. The people at the top of the game are very, very diligent about where they spend their time. So we do this with two systems. One is a strategic plan. One is weekly block scheduling. Let me know in the chat box, actually, by the way, give yourself a little report card. How good of a job do you think you do when it comes to your goal setting and execution? A 10 is like, we are expert level. We have a detailed plan. We share it with the team. We look at it constantly. 1 is like, we have some loose vision, but to be honest, I just kind of meander around from problem to problem, from fire to fire in my business every day. And then there's like a midsection 2. Be real. This is a safe space. Give us a real score. So I said there were two systems, right? The first is a strategic plan. What we do is we build out a one-page strategic plan that articulates our core values, our 5-year BHAG, our purpose. It articulates our goals and initiatives, our quarterly goals. We have it all in one place. The reason it's on one page is to keep it simple and force us to get rid of the fluff. What is really important in your business next year? Then we do a rock breakdown, and then we build a critical path, which shows us what the team needs to do week by week in order to execute throughout the year. So that's a strategic plan. Then what we do is we translate that plan into a weekly block schedule, right? So Monday to Friday, and if you work a little bit on Saturdays and Sundays, that's fine too. But we want to make sure that every hour is thought through and there is a plan for every single section of the day throughout the week. Now, this doesn't mean that fires don't erupt and you need to deviate from the plan. That's fine, right? Somebody on your crew spills a gallon of paint on a roof, or heaven forbid somebody, falls off a scaffold, like that's a fire. You got to go deal with that. But if you don't have a plan in the first place, you don't really know what you're rescheduling. And so you go to that fire and then you forgot what you were doing in the first place. Then something else comes up and you end up on this hamster wheel that so many of us end up on. So what we want to do is figure out our long-term vision, dial that down into annual goals, break those down into quarterly milestones. And then every month and every week, we have a really concise plan for our time. Gabriel Poblete is a great example, right? For him, my strategic plan is my map, and I go to it for everything. It's the correlation between my mission and the steps to get there. So there you have it, folks. That is the contractor growth method, all 6 parts. Financial controls for data-driven decisions, defined roles so people know who does what within the business, hiring systems so you can get the A players you need to grow, training and onboarding systems so you can skill up those new people as effectively as possible, optimized sales and marketing so you can grow your revenue without needing to do every single phone call and every single sales meeting yourself, and then goal setting and execution to structure that vision into an action plan that your team can rally around. Those 6 parts make up the whole, and this is what we've seen drive absolutely insane growth inside our membership. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm curious, for those of you here, what pillars need the most work in your business? There are the 6 again. Which one are you the weakest at? Again, it's a safe space. Be real with us. Now, I talked about the results, the insane results of this growth. So we see some pretty impressive numbers, right? This past year, our entire membership did about 1.7 billion in revenue. That's just under 600 different businesses in the program. On average, the new Breakthrough Academy member, after their first 12 months in the program, grows their revenue by 26%, and they grow their net profit by 43% after the first 12 months of the program. How do we do that? We do that through kind of a 3-pronged approach we call content, coaching, community. Okay? So let me repeat that. Content is, we have pre-built templates and videos and resources for everything you need to systemize. You never need to build anything from scratch. Coaching is you work with an industry specialized expert who gets to know your business, helps you build that strategic plan, and then helps you implement systems accordingly and gives you a kick in the ass when you need one, which is pretty often if you're running a business. So you have someone in your corner who gets you, who is driving with you. And then lastly, you work with an unbelievable like-minded community of other high-performing business owners in your industry. You have 600 members all over North America. Between our online communities, our in-person events, you will make friends and you will have allies to go on this journey with. So who do we work with? We work with, like I said, a pretty specific entrepreneur. We're quite specialized. If you own a contracting business, you've been in business between over 2 years, you're doing between $1 and $15 million in revenue per year. You want to grow, you want to systemize your company, you want to develop as a leader, you want to mastermind with other high performers, you want to be challenged and held accountable, and you also want to professionalize your industry. This is absolutely the place for you. And if you want to check us out, right, there's going to be a little pop-up that comes up on your screen. You can't miss it. Bottom right corner, you can't miss it. Click on that button. You go fill out the form. You can get these resources that we share. This MVP file. There's some interviewing and hiring systems. There's some job description templates. There's a one-page strategic planning template. There is a behavioral interviewing form. There's a ton of stuff that you can get for free. But more importantly, if you want to connect with us, because we would love to connect with you, you can book a discovery call using that little pop-up. Can't miss it. Right side of your screen. Click that. Fill out the form. And at the bottom, you check the box that says, send me the templates and let's talk about how you can help my business. That will allow you to book a discovery call with someone on our team. Be about 30 minutes. We'll pick up the phone. We'll listen to you. Tell us about your business. What's going on? What are some of the challenges? If we can help you, we will. And if this isn't quite the right fit yet, that's totally fine too. We'll give you some more free resources. We'll keep tabs on you, build a relationship. And at some point in the future, this might be the right fit. So if this is sounding like something that makes sense to you, you're looking to grow, you want to work less, you want to make more money, and you don't want to reinvent the wheel, the contractor growth method, I'm telling you, is the answer. So check that box, book a call, and let's see if this might be a fit. That's it for me. We will see you next time. Have a great rest of your day.